Shalom. Shalom and welcome. Welcome to From Four Corners, a series of messages to those who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father, the Almighty Creator, He that is Aleph Tah, the beginning and the end. It is a message to you whom I consider my brothers and my sisters, my family, who has come or will come to know that it is indeed Yahusha Messiah that is guiding and ordering our footsteps as we are refined and prepared for that final exodus, for these final days on this planet as we know it in these earthen vessels. This segment of From Four Corners is entitled Adjust Personal Habits. Adjust Personal Habits. Today is July 17, 2014. If you're tuning in for the first time, I welcome you. My name is Symmanayah. With that said, my brothers and sisters, all too often, we prefer to look at things with rose-colored glasses, so to speak. We tend to only want to see things that make us feel good or that fit our desires. Look around. When it comes to fellowship and or discussing matters regarding end-time prophecies, with ease, there is much talk about the return of our Messiah, our Mashyach, Yahusha. There is much talk about restoring Yasharal, and even returning to the land that was once promised. We even find it amazing and intrigued discussing the many stories that occurred during the days of old, along with the relationship that the chosen people had with the Almighty Father. We look at the magnificent services that were rendered as the Most High worked through his leaders, his chosen. There's no doubt when discussing things during days of old, most of us are so removed from what really took place that we discuss these matters as though they are merely stories, void of realizing that they affected people's lives. Case in point, how many of us have ever felt the disappointment in Adam and Eve's spirit for the wrong that they done? How many have ever pondered on the fear, the anger, and the array of emotions that those who were left out of the ark that Noah built experienced? How many of us have ever given thought to what went through the minds of the relatives of the people who were destroyed in Sodom and Gomorrah? The time is at hand to realize that all that has occurred affected people's lives, my brothers and sisters. It is time for us to learn from these examples. It is time for us to read and study and understand how they can be an example for us as we prepare for our final journey, our final exodus. The time is at hand to realize, my brothers and sisters, end times are here. It is time for us to begin considering what is unfolding in our time and in days to come. Global warming and climate change are real. They're producing erratic weather patterns, and while in their wake or in their shadows we are witnessing widespread drought continue to take a toll on the world food supply. Soon and very soon we will wake up and realize food inventories are gradually vanishing. Global panic is over the horizon, and the hidden facts will soon become so large they could no longer be contained. Many of us anticipate the long-awaited final exodus, the emergence of the two witnesses of Revelation, the emergence of the Antichrist or Messiah, and the false prophet in the beast system, the one world government. I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, if we are able to agree that there have been details and experiences of which have been ignored in our reading and studying scriptures, know this: there are details we have and must come to be mindful of regarding end-time prophecy fulfillment, regarding our duties for today. Let us take a moment and look in the mirror. Let us examine all the personal habits that we have acquired over the years. Let us be true to ourselves and ask the questions: what habits do we consider to be good versus bad? What habits, what personal habits will line up with righteousness and which ones do not. Now picture coming together in a massive crowd of strangers who also have personal habits, with each one of us in need to get to know the other in order that we may work and function together in unity in Yahusha Messiah. Picture what that would pose, what challenges it would pose. Imagine being tasked to a specific duty or duties in order for us to live together in harmony, so to speak, or in unity. Now, what do you think must occur? I submit to you, it is critical that we be mindful that the time is coming for us to face the need to adjust personal habits in order to live together in unity in Yahusha Messiah, our Mashyach. I'm compelled to believe, as I have mentioned countless times, that there will be forced migrations, forced movements. I have invited listeners to consider current conditions where there is extreme drought and examine what is occurring in the regions where these droughts exist. I've even brought to mind how people will begin to follow food sources, thus move where the food is. If you search the news feeds or newspapers thoroughly, one can discover there have been massive movement of cattle, a widely product that is used in our food consumption. If you're in the United States, it should not be difficult to see the extreme challenges states are facing regarding drought. Most recently, the state of California have went into a state of emergency regarding fresh water and has begun enacting water restrictions in many parts of the state. Many of the states west of the Mississippi are in severe to extreme drought, and is growing widely, my brothers and sisters. If you took a moment to consider the origins of our food, it would not take too much research to discover that the places we grow food the most are facing severe drought. Believe it or not, there are some places where food is grown and produced, causing severe hardship because farmers were unable to plant this season. There are some places that are experiencing severe flooding. Yes, in some cases, flooding in agricultural areas, prohibiting the ability to grow food. The bottom line, my brothers and sisters, our food supplies are dwindling, and the most extreme times of famine are over the horizon. People will begin to move, with most waiting to the last minute, with the majority getting caught up in chaos and civil unrest as people scramble for resources for survival and a safe place to live. Let's consider possible personal habits we will face as we come together with strangers. I will provide some examples for you to consider. But as this segment is entitled, Adjust Personal Habits, it is something that will come to be. It is time for us to get our house in order, my brothers and sisters. It is time for us to realize our personal habits will be one of the most biggest obstacles for building unity among the ranks of the children of obedience, as we are refined and perfected for our final exodus. Consider the following challenges that would be obvious. Language, or different slangs and variations of language, as we seek to understand one another and communicate with one another as we grow in masses, as led by the Spirit of Yahusha. Our dress, our attire, our clothing will pose discussions among us as we move closer together. Preferences regarding personal hygiene, washing our bodies, clothes, and or other things being cleansed will be among the discussions as it relates to personal habits. Our personal attractions will cause some to be caught up in what would be considered the art of love, so to speak, or possible seduction and lust. The things we prefer to watch and see will cause us to want to discuss these things among one another because they are indeed part of our personal habits. Yes, we talk about the things we do, the things we see, the things we watch. Our eating habits, our specific tastes will be among the challenges regarding our personal habits. Our use of resources, and as well as our in or as well as our neglect of things that are important. Personal desires regarding socializing with one another, communicating and fellowshipping with one another, or having quiet times. How we view being organized or not. Our reaction to laws, ordinance, rules, and commands. How we face or seek to avoid authority. How we will build cliques in or groups with like habits. There are many personal habits and behaviors that we have that will be challenged, my brothers and sisters. Let us begin to examine them with a prayerful mind. Let us consider the scriptures. Let us seek to watch them come alive as we measure what we are supposed to do against our personal habits. Let us realize that not all personal habits are bad. Some have origins of righteousness. I ask you, my brothers and sisters, for those who want to hold on to personal habits that they are not sure, ask yourself, do you really think the Most High Father have not taken into consideration that in our fellowship, personal habits will play a vital role? That our biggest challenge, one of our biggest challenge will be determining what personal habits are ordered by the Most High, what personal habits are a result of the teachings of our Mashyach Yahusha, and what personal habits must we leave behind or be delivered from. Let's take a look at the following. Exodus 19:5 and 6. And now if you diligently obey my voice and shall guard my covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession above all the people, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be to me a reign of priests and set apart nation. Those are the words you are to speak to the children of Yahusha. Obeying his voice, my brothers and sisters, I ask you, are we prepared to obey his voice? Are we prepared to recognize, as a result of obeying his voice, how it affects our personal habits? Will our personal habits line up with scriptures, or will they be something to reject? Matthew 6:33 says, but seek first the reign of Elohim and its righteousness, and all things, and all these matters shall be added to you. Ephesians 5:18-21 reads, do not be drunk with wine, which is loose behavior, but be filled with the Spirit, speaking to each other in psalms and songs and praise, and spiritual songs, singing and striking the strings in your heart to the Master. Giving thanks always for all to Elohim the Father in the name of Master Yahusha, subjecting yourselves to each other in the fear of Elohim. Again, my brothers and sisters, the time is at hand when we will find out clearly that we must adjust personal habits. Colossians 2:11 said, in whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands, and putting off the body of the sins of the flesh by the circumcision of Christ. Romans 13:12-14 reads, the night is far advanced, the day has come. So let us put off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Let us walk becomingly as in the day, not in wild parties and drunkenness, not in living together and indecencies, not in fighting and envy, but put on the Master Yahusha Messiah and make no provisions for the lusts of the flesh. My brothers and sisters, if we reflect on the scriptures that I've just read, it is clear there is much expected of us. How many of us have taken under consideration our personal habits? How many have taken into consideration that our personal habits have a role in our overall fellowship with one another? For you spiritually minded, yes, those of you who are spiritually minded, who are so spiritually minded that you are swift to dismiss what is necessary in our teachings, but yet void of hearing from the Spirit of Yahusha, remember, we must be able to discern all and any wickedness and purge it from our existence. We must learn to hear what the voice of the Spirit of Yahusha is saying, improve in our worship in obedience to the Most High Father. I submit to you, whether an individual believes in wearing deodorant in lotion or cosmetics versus those who have removed themselves from such practices. These will be personal habits that we will come to adapt and adjust. There will be discussions regarding diverse personal hygiene practices as we come together. There will be vegans who will be among us, vegetarians who have no problems abstaining from meat, but will face problems struggling with people who are meat eaters, as well as meat eaters who probably will struggle with the habits of the vegans, the vegetarians. There will be those who prefer to wear one type of clothing versus those who have another preference. We will see those who are most active during the evening hours versus those who prefer to be in the sun. There are those who like to talk and those who prefer silence. We will see people who do not like being around little children versus individuals who love the little children. We will see people who are focused on what's to come and having a ready mind, and we will see those who are sluggards and lazy and will try to bury their heads in the sand, yet finding themselves being humbled and brought together. We will see people who cannot bear to see the slaughtering of animals, but will eat meat in a second. There will be people more mature in their walk with Yahusha Messiah versus those who are still on milk, struggling to discern the presence of this living Messiah, Yahusha. All in all, my brothers and sisters, there are many personal habits of which most of us have not given any consideration that will and must change. We will come to discover the need to adjust our personal habits. My brothers and sisters, if you struggle with receiving the importance of this message, I want you to be encouraged. For if these words are righteous, the time will come when they will stir your spirits and you will witness the life in them. Remembrance is something often taken for granted, but I believe wholeheartedly that the Spirit of Yahushua bring all things to remembrance that are necessary for building the body of one in Him. I want to invite you to begin discussing personal habits with people you are around most often. Consider asking them their opinion regarding any of your personal habits that they find irritating. Do not get offended, my brothers and sisters. Do not get defensive, nor consume time becoming angry or disappointed, but rather ponder on their response and ask yourself, are these personal habits worth adjusting? Are they worth causing continued irritation among friends, brothers, sisters, or another? My brothers and sisters, the time is at hand where we will find ourselves adjusting our personal habits. The 144,000 in multitude are being refined and will come together. There will be adjustments in personal habits, the way we worship, the way we obey. The time is now to begin getting our house in order. I cannot stress it enough. Again, I strongly encourage us to begin having discussions regarding our personal habits and how they affect us and those we come in contact. Keep in mind, there will be orders, not passive requests, but orders from the Spirit of Yahushua to do what is necessary to bring us together as He so guides, working in us, through us, one towards another, or whether it be through the instructions and guidance of His chosen leaders, of Him working through His chosen leaders or sent messengers. Keep in mind, my brothers and sisters, in the sovereignty there is one who reigns, and I assure you it will not be by passive rule. It will be by the mighty power of Yahuwah through His set apartness. Pray, study, pray some more, and establish a ready mind to begin discerning what is necessary today. Begin to take steps. Begin to identify what orders are coming forward as it relates to taking a position to adjust personal habits that are necessary. Let us be willing to come away from the habits that are unruly, the habits that have no righteous ties. And let us enlarge all habits, all personal habits, more so habits that definitely line up with righteousness, with set apartness. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, pray and watch. The proof will come, the strength will come, deliverance will come, the power will come to adjust our personal habits to line up with what is being ordered by our living Savior, Yahusha Messiah. Until next time, continue to seek to do the will of the Father and discover His living orders and commands. Until next time, I invite you to continue listening to From Four Corners, a series to those who will be among the ranks of the final Exodus, and or those who will be strengthened and directed and used as martyrs for the sake of Yahusha Messiah. Until next time, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom.